So, Jai Sriman Narayana. So, last many months, ever since we started the Bhagavad Gita Satsang, so we finished the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita called Arjuna Vishada Yoga, which is named, many of us are, or almost all of us are familiar because Arjuna started experiencing the grief because he did not want to perform his duty of being a warrior, right? So it was his responsibility to fight against his own people, like a few people, like whom he likes, like his grandfather Bhishmacharya and Guru Dronacharya, and there are others on both sides. He was worried that at the end of the war, they may not remain in that form. So, is it worth fighting for, or is it worth performing this task? So, and he gets depressed, and we went in depth, like why it happened, why this experience of grief, even though he participated in many battles before. Why is that this suddenly struck him? So we went in depth into those aspects before. So now until the 10th sloka. So in the whole first chapter, he was worried. In the Arjuna Vishada Yoga first chapter, he was worried mainly about in general the population, like suffering, the entire generations getting destroyed. But the real intent of his grief, or the real cause of his grief, came out in the second chapter, the Sankhya Yoga. In the first few slokas of the Sankhya Yoga, he started mentioning the real reason is particularly Bhishmacharya and Dronacharya. He was worried mainly about them because he did not want to fight against them because they taught him so much, right? So that's the real reason. He went through so much of roller coaster of emotions, right? So first he said, okay, I am Sishyasteham, I am your student. Please, in the seventh sloka, so he said, Sishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam, instruct me. Karpanya dosha bhata svabhava. We went in depth in this sloka. I am your disciple. So please order me, he said in the seventh sloka, what I need to do. And then suddenly in the eighth sloka, he says, Nahi prapasyam mama panudyat, where he said, why is it worth fighting for? Like, it's not worth fighting for this, even this battle, or even getting the Swargaloka Adhipatyam also. It's not worth fighting for. So he said. So like that, so he was saying ninth and 10th slokas also. So in the ninth and 10th slokas, actually, Sanjaya was expressing his surprise at how Arjuna was saying this to Govinda, right? So we went in depth. So this is when 11th sloka onwards of the second chapter, the Sankhya Yoga, until this point, Sri Krishna Paramatma was listening to everything that Arjuna was saying. He did not utter even one word of consolation or scolding or anything. He did not express any response to what Arjuna was going through. And then this is the very first sloka, which Sri Krishna Paramatma uttered when Arjuna became silent. So Sri Krishna Paramatma let Arjuna express continuously, completely his emotions. I mean, that's what a great Acharya, a great person who is very mature. I mean, even we can see today also. So those who are very confident, they let others express completely, and then they start talking about it, right? So we will break down what Sri Krishna Paramatma is saying, 11th sloka. And even though he starts in the 11th sloka, the 12th sloka is the one which all the great Acharyas consider the 12th sloka as the first sloka of Bhagavad Gita. So let's understand why that is, right? So, I'll chant the 11th sloka. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Asocyan Anvasocastvam Prajnavadamscha Bhashase Gatasun Agatasuscha Nanusochanti Panditaha. So, is just at a surface level, right? So, if we understand word by word meaning, what is Krishna Paramatma saying? So you are uttering, so asocian anvasochastvam, from you are, what are you doing? You are crying over something which doesn't need to be cried over, right? So you're expressing grief over something which doesn't need to be cried about, okay? And you are so you're talking like a scholar, right? So, and the the things which do not need to be cried about are gatasus and agatasus. So let's break down what these things are. As I mean, today, what a gatasu means and agatasu means, and what he's saying is you are trying to talk like a pandita, and you are talking and you are lamenting about it, but you are talking about like a pandita. Okay? So you are uttering these words of the wise, and you have lamented about which no agony is deserved about, and the scholars never lament about the bodies that don't have life. So, but let's try to understand. So Bhagavad Gita is a scripture, right, which is supposed to reduce the sorrow of grief stricken Arjuna. So so it is because he is unsure of his duty, and Krishna Paramatma is guiding him on the right course of the action, and to command him to his duty, right? So this is an upadesha that he's giving, and so Arjuna feels that it is not right to perform the battle, and based on the Sri Krishna Paramatma's upadesham, Arjuna felt that he knew the right action to be taken, but he felt that he can't perform this war. Now he understands what his duty is, but he's not convinced about it. So this is there is a word in Sanskritam. The understanding this sloka actually will get into little bit of technicality, right? So there is something called apata pratiti. So apata pratiti means something you understand superficially. When we understand something superficially, there is a beautiful term in Sanskritam called apata pratiti. So and who is a pandita that Krishna Paramatma is referring to here as pandita? This word, we all know basically pandita, right? What does a pandita mean? Who is a pandita? Pandita is,
Scholar.
what is it?
Scholar.
Scholar, yes, yeah. Scholar or jnani, or so anybody who is very scholarly, who knows about his stuff, right? So jnani, but really who understands something in depth. That is what is a pandita. So who doesn't talk with apata pratiti. Okay, opposite of what apata pratiti is pandita. So somebody who has a depth of knowledge, so that is uh, who doesn't talk, they don't talk with apata pratiti is pandita, right? So actually, in order to get rid of grief, so the the jnanam is required, which panditas have, right? So I actually, um, but how or what kind of knowledge? We all know basically, even for small things, when we don't know about something, we feel the deficiency in our hearts, right? Even for small things, when we are clear of knowledge about something, then we are happy. What makes us happy if we are able to perform our duties with full knowledge of what we are trying to do, right? So let's say I'm not able to drive properly, it makes me unhappy. But if I know exactly how to drive, and any task you take, if we know in depth about something, then we feel happy. That gives us the satisfaction. But at the same time, if we don't have knowledge, then that makes us feel like sorrow, right? So there is this is what in Chandogya Upanishad also, there is a mention of this knowledge of the Jnanis, right? So Chandogya Upanishad, there is something called Bhuma Vidya. So what happened is there was a great scholar at some point in the past by name Sanat Kumara, right? Sanat Kumara, many of you might have heard. Sanat Kumara was a great scholar, and he wanted to start a university to teach people. This is in the Chandogya Upanishad. So when he just wanted everybody to apply for it, and people started applying, and then there was an interview process, and there was one application that came out very interesting, and it came from none other than Narada. We all know Narada, Brahma Manasaputra Narada, right? So we know that he's a great scholar. And when Sanat Kumara inquired about Narada's qualifications, so he said, Rugvedo Bhagavad Yeyi. So something like that. He says, means I studied Rigveda, Yajurveda, Atharvaveda, Samaveda, and Ekayana Shastra, which is also known as Pancharatragama. So like this, he began telling about all his qualifications. And then when Sanat Kumara was shocked to hear all of that see, you seem to know more than many of the teachers here. So why are you here? Right? So, and then he says, I studied the scriptures, but only to the extent of grasping the text, meaning akshara grahanam, not ardha grahanam. Akshara grahanam means aksharas are the text, right? So only I know the text by heart, I know what these scriptures are saying, but I don't really understand the inner meaning of it. I mean, that means, so I want to understand the inner meaning of it, and that without knowing the inner meaning, I feel the deficiency in my heart that I don't know this, right? Same thing with when we study either in college or in real life, if we if we see something very complicated, that leads to agony for us, right? Why am I not able to understand this properly? But when we understand it thoroughly, then that makes us feel very satisfied. So what Narada said is, I was unable to realize the inner meaning of this. Um, so uh, so I know mantra videya vasmi naham atmavid, meaning I was able to learn all the letters of the mantra and their notation without any fault in the prescribed manner. But so I know the mantras properly, but I'm unable to understand the tattva in it. Tattva. So the essential truth behind it, the real tattva. So that is making me feel deficient. So then why do you want to know it? Sanat Kumar asked. Then Narada said, yeah, to get rid of my ignorance, the ajnanam. And to get rid of ajnanam, why do I want to get rid of ignorance? To feel myself happy about it. So no amount of money or sometimes, all of us, we understand, we're at a stage to understand money or possessions can give happiness only to some extent, and beyond the self-satisfaction comes with other things, like where we are able to we have the complete knowledge of things, and we are able to guide other people, or where we are able to guide ourselves properly. We have the right amount of knowledge, and that's why we join these kind of satsangs, right? So that we truly understand the meaning of something, to conduct ourselves properly. So either to guide ourselves or to guide others. So that Atma Tattva Jnana, so in order to become free from our sorrows, we need the Atma Tattva Jnana. That's what Narada felt, and the knowledge itself. So Tarati Shokam Atmavid. That's what meaning you can get past the Shokam when you have the Atma, knowledge about the Atma. Only those who have the knowledge of the soul are able to free themselves from sorrow. So this is what our scripture says. And so this is what uh, is known as Bhuma Vidya in Chandogya Upanishad, right? Which, between the conversation between Sanat Kumara and Narada. So now coming back to Arjuna, he is in a very sorrowful state. Right? So to become free from that sorrow, he needs to be taught the Atma Tattva Jnana. Right? So that's the only thing that can free Arjuna from this state of sorrow now. Right? So in the previous sloka, Arjuna said, Yachokam Uchchosanam Indriyanam. That shokam is burning like my indriyas, my sensory organs. Right? So, and this, so and actually this is very important. Even why does Atma Jnanam lead to getting rid of Shokam? Already we came to know a little bit from the conversation between Sanat Kumara and Narada. But actually when we go to the 12th sloka, we will truly understand the importance of this Atma Tattva Jnanam, right? So we'll get to it now. So um, um, so when he said in the 10th sloka, Yachokam Uchchoshanam Indriyanam, meaning my indriyas and senses are suffering due to sorrow, I don't know by any means to take this sorrow away, or to drive this sorrow away from myself. I don't have any means, and you also don't know. That's what we discussed, right? In the 10th sloka, he said, I don't know, and you also don't know. He just labeled Krishna also as having no answer for this incorrectly. So, and Arjuna even thought of two different means. Even avapya bhumau asapatna muddham, meaning to even winning over all my enemies here, or rajyam suranam apichadhipatyam. So even getting the even ruling over the kingdom, even if I die in this battle and I go to Swargam, that's what scriptures say. So even if I go there and Suranam apichadhipatyam, adhipatyam over the Suras, even that is also not going to give me any happiness. So he needed something which is different from them. And if he properly understood the Atma Tattva Jnana, actual knowledge of the self, only then would he be able to, would his sorrow and fears will be gone. That's what is required. That's what Sri Krishna Paramatma has decided, right? So, so actually now when coming back to this sloka, asocyan anvasochastvam prajnavadamscha bhashase gatasun agatasuncha nanu shochanti panditaha. If we look at this, so gatasu, let's try to understand the meaning of gata asu and agata asu. So does anybody know the meaning of asu? In Telugu, I think many of you or some of you are Telugu. Asuvulu Bhasanai. So you heard this word, right? Being used in what does asu mean?
Jealous?
Asuya is jealous.
Crying?
Asuvulu Bhasanai
ప్రాణం
is huh?
ప్రాణం
Prana.
Crying?
No, no. The Asuvulu Bhasanai meaning so the yeah. So Raghav Swami said it is prana, right?
ప్రాణం
Prana. Yeah. So ప్రాణం అసువులు బాసినై సో కీర్తి శేషులైనారు వారి అసువులు బాసినై సంథింగ్ లైక్ దట్ దే సే అసు మీన్స్ ప్రాణ right so gata asus and agata asus so it's very technical words he is using so gata asu means something which doesn't have any connection with the pranas. Asu means prana, and then gata asus, which always have lost the connection with pranas, and then agata asu means which never loses connection with prana. Okay, it's very very technical terms which Krishna Paramatma is using. Very interesting words actually. So, what is the thing which never loses or which always loses the connection with the pranas? And opposite of it is something which never loses connection with the pranas. So he's making a clear distinction here. So here, so what that means is, think of it like think of the body, right? Human body or a animal body or a tree body. Trees also has a life in it, right? So the bodies which are made up of the Panchabhutas, we heard. We'll get into what Panchabhutas is a little bit more in depth later. But these bodies which are made up of elements, right? According to our scriptures, this consider a human body or animal body, a tree body. It is made up of the 5 elements, and once it is made up of 5 elements, there is soul inside. But the body itself never has the connection with the prana. Okay, and so it is a sanghata, panchabhuta sanghata. Sanghata means it's a union. Union of these 5 elements is the body, and that is the one which doesn't have the connection with the asus. So, this is a very, very important concept. I want to make sure everybody is following. So body is something which doesn't have a connection with the pranas. But why this body, when we are in it, is able to function is because of the agatasu, which is the opposite of this body. What is the opposite of this body? Something which always has a connection with the prana. What is the one? Any ideas? So think of that as the Atma or the soul, which we are. Right? Atma is the one which is always associated with the prana or the asu. So, gatasu is the body which doesn't have connection with the pranas or the life force. Prana is a Sanskritam word, and if we translate maybe into English, the right word would be life force. So as long as this life force is a abstract concept actually. This prana is an abstract concept. We know that it is there. Pranam is there. We say okay, pranam is gone. Pranam poindi, right? So the prana is the life force. This body doesn't have a connection with the life force ever. But how is it functioning? Because of the agatasu in it is the soul which always has the connection with the prana. So prana is a singular word. Let me add. Okay. So always has the connection with the prana. So when this soul is inside the body, the agatasu is inside the body, then the body is functioning. We see only the body functioning properly. So we'll understand why Sri Krishna Paramatma had to say it in these technical terms, right? He could have just said, okay, instead of saying gatasu, he could have said sharira or body, deha, something like that. He could have said, right? And then instead of saying agatasu, he could have said soul, atma, right? So, but there is a reason that he is using these technical words and which Sri Krishna Paramatma wants Arjuna to understand really what he's talking about. And through Arjuna, he wants us to really understand. So only when we really understand the in-depth, the meaning of these things, or appreciate the meaning of these things, that it sticks to our mind, right? So what he's saying is, just because for the bodies and the souls, nanu sochanti panditaha. The people who are scholars, who don't have the apata pratiti, who understand things to the depth, right? They do not cry, na anusochanti, about the bodies and the souls. Bodies which never have the life in it, and the souls which always have life in it, they never cry about those things. Right? And that's what Arjuna is doing. All this, like entire first chapter. Oh, the Acharya, Pitaraha, Putraha. So all of them will be gone. The pranas, asus will be gone for them, and the Bhishmacharya, Dronacharya, all of them will lose this thing. So, and he started crying about them. And Krishna Paramatma is saying, the great scholars don't cry about the bodies and the souls. And if really, if we understand the meaning of this these words, even though these are universally true and all of us, we understand, okay, body and the soul, everything has a lifetime, time for which the body functions. Still, These are even though these are very practical, it is a very, very, very bitter reality for all human beings. I mean, people don't even want to talk about these kind of things, right? See, and it is very hard to take these words, even though they are practically true, and we see all around us always. And this is very, very hard to take. And Krishna Paramatma is starting. I mean, this is a ground zero. Right? The first sloka is I said the great Acharyas say 12th sloka is the first sloka, but I think the sloka 11th sloka is the ground zero of all these things. Is stating the most bitter truth right in the beginning, ground zero. And bodies, don't cry about this. Don't cry about the soul which is going away. So scholars don't cry about it. And so, but even regular people like us, it's very hard to digest these kind of words. And even though we see all around us so much of loss of life, and then it makes us cry, right? So, but is Krishna Paramatma is asking for people to become their heart to become like stones and not react to anything. And so actually our Acharya Chinajir Swamiji, I heard him talk about this like many, many, many years ago, actually, not recently. So apparently our Chinajir Swamiji's guru, Peddajiyar Swamiji. He was a great Swami, Jiyar Swami. And he accomplished so many. He was called Satya Sankalpa because of the great things he did. I mean, not in the current age of like internet and we can accomplish so many things. He between 60s, 70s time frame when there was mode of communication was difficult and even to just communication was happening on small letters being posted from one person to another. We reached 15 days later. Even those days, he accomplished so many great things in Delhi and Badrinath, and there is huge history about him. So he became a sannyasi at quite a young age, actually. So later in the towards the end of their lifetime period, I think apparently there was an old man came to him and apparently he said, and this is what our Chinajaya Swamiji said in one of the pravachanams, that he came and said, "Okay, Swami, I'm here, and okay, I've been a samsari all my life, and then so my wife passed away recently, and when she passed away, I became so like a tyagi or what do you call like a yogi. I have been practicing so much of sadhana. I've been doing that. When she passed away." I did not even let one drop of tear flow through my eyes. I was very indifferent and I did not feel any emotion. So apparently he said to Padajir Swamiji, then Chinajir Swami says that Padajir Swami replied to that person, okay, you don't need sannyasam. So that person asked Swamiji to give him sannyasam because he became such a great yogi that his heart did not respond when his partner of lifetime passed away. Right? Then apparently Padajya Swami said, "Okay, you don't need sannyasa. You're not fit for sannyasa. Maybe you are fit for becoming again. Go and." So when you are not able to respond to things around you, when things happen, then you're not fit to become a sannyasi. Right? So sannyasi means it doesn't have the relationships, but his heart responds when something bad happens or something is taken away from unjustly from people. right? So the heart has to respond. And when your partner has passed away, did not even have even that tender moment, then you're not fit to become a sannyasi. And you maybe go and get married again and then go through that emotions and then come back. Something like that. I remember Swami saying that
Being
means that.
being empathetic in the life.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thanks for that. Yeah. So being empathetic and uh, dropping that tear is what makes us feel like we are having manas or heart, right? Everybody who has a heart will drop that tear. Shokam. Shokam is nothing bad about experiencing grief. Even in the Western world, they say right, there is four or five stages of shoka, like the denial, anger, bargaining, and acceptance. The different stages they say. Finally, the end stage is acceptance. I mean, even in our shoka, like Arjuna Vishada Yoga, Vishada itself, we know it's grief, and we broke it down, right? Visarana, Gati, Avasadana, meaning first our heart melts and then it flows. Gati. Visarana means it's like breaking down. And then Gati means it flows. And then Avasadana means it reaches some stable state where it goes to some Acharya or somebody who can guide. And then so that way they get the answer, right? So Vishada or the Shokam, crying about something itself, our scriptures or acharyas, they don't say that it's a bad thing. But here, Sri Krishna Paramatma is stating the bitter reality that na anusochanti, meaning never lament, never cry. Who doesn't cry? Pandita. But isn't that a contradiction to what the scriptures say, right? So this is where the secret is. Actually, talking this word is a beautiful word. Our Acharya says, na anushochanti. Shokam is different from anushokam. Anushokam means experiencing this grief over and over and over and over again to that extent that it makes you run away from your responsibilities. That is what anushokam is. Shokam is just a grief, plain and grief, and then you get out of it, and then you get on with the personal responsibilities that are assigned to you. That is shokam. But anushokam is continuously, constantly crying for something lost, wherever you are, whenever, whatever you are doing, it is called anushocham. So every word in Bhagavad Gita um, is very, very carefully stated by Paramatma, and that's why this is called the essence of the Vedas or the Upanishads, right? Gita Shastram is Upanishad Sangraham, basically. So, and that can't be contradicting anything that is stated in the other scriptures. And that's why Acharya says, we accept Krishna as the Jagat Guru because he stated things in Bhagavad Gita which are not contradicting what Veda says. That's why we hear nowadays when to take something or somebody as a standard in our sampradaya or in our culture, we say Vaidika, basically meaning Vedas, whatever Vedas are saying, if somebody is saying, then we accept them as Guru. That's why Krishna Paramatma is accepted as Guru. And if Krishna Paramatma had stated something contradicting the Vedas, Acharya says you don't even have to accept him as a Guru. And that's why actually I heard some time back, it says there are many avatars of Paramatma, but some of the avatars were not Vaidika. Like one of them is Kapila. So he gave Sankhya Yoga also. So, but it's a side topic, but that's not considered standard, right? So, anyway, coming back to this, so Anushokam is a very carefully chosen word which Paramatma is using to tell us that uh, don't don't let that grief over the gatasus and agatasus make you go away from your responsibility. And that's what, in this case, Arjuna is doing that. He's experiencing, he's going through that Anushokam, not the Shokam. He's doing the Anushokam, which is making him go away from his responsibility. Because he's worried about the gatasus and agatasus who are Bhishma and Dronacharya, Bhishmacharya, Dronacharya. They are all bodies that gatasus, and they are agatasus. They are inside this body which is gatasu, which is made up of panchabhutas. So you don't have to cry about them. So even though out to the outside it looks like it's a bitter reality, he is saying it very harshly. When somebody is experiencing grief, we don't just go and say, "Hey, don't cry," like that, right? But um, I mean, we let them go through the experience. But here, what is saying, don't cry to the extent that is making you run away from your responsibilities. So, so that's the essence of this. And uh, so he's saying, prajnavadamscha bhashase. So you are talking, you are having apata pratiti. So in this case, Arjuna is talking with apata pratiti throughout the first chapter and then partly of the second chapter when he was crying. He was talking um, all the Svargaloka, or maybe if so in this case, by eliminating these all these families, they will suffer. So bhaiksham apihaloke, meaning it's better to go and beg for alms instead of participating in these. So he was talking as if he knew things, as if he was trying to talk like a scholar, even though he was not a scholar. He was trying to talk like a pandita. That's why he's saying, you're you're panditas who don't cry over gatasu and agatasu, but you are talking what? You are giving a bhashanam, you are giving a lecture like pragyavadam, meaning somebody who has the knowledge. So you're doing the Prajnavadam, the knowledgeable lecture, even though you are not a scholar. So that's what Krishna Paramatma is saying. Prajnavadamscha bhasase gatasun agatasunscha na anusochanti panditaha. So any questions or any feedback, commentary on what we discussed so far? Anything on this sloka? So, hmm. So, so here, in this case, um, the gatasu and agatasu, so actually, we briefly touched upon them. The bodies are made up of these panchabhutas, right? So, panchabhutas, what are panchabhutas? Does anybody know? This is a little bit technical. Prithvi, Apaha. Right?
Prithvi, Akasha,
Yes, last Akasha, yes. Yes, sir.
Vayu,
Vayu. Hmm? Tejas.
Jala.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Tejas. Apa is jalam, basically. Apaha
yeah,
means
Jala. Yeah.
water. Prithvi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu, and then Akasha. Right? So these five elements, Prithvi means the earth. Then Apa, water, Vayu, air, Tejas is fire, and Akasha is the space. Right? Many people accept these four as the elements. Some people. So because Akasha, they see is like a shunyam, right? It is something which is we can't experience with our indriyas. These four we can experience with our indriyas, but Akasha we cannot experience with our indriyas. So some people don't consider this as an element. But according to our scriptures, all these five are the elements: earth, water, air, fire, and space, which make up the Panchabhuta Sanghata. Sanghata means union, basically. So a combination of these five elements is what makes all the bodies which we see around, either human or animal or trees or mountains or anything in nature. Everything in nature is a combination of these five. Even among the human beings, we see people with different colors, textures of skins, and then height, weight, and so many parameters. Everything is just a minor variation of these five elements. And then between humans and the animals and the trees. So just change a little bit of composition of these things, you have a completely different form. So that's according to our scriptures, right? So these bodies, which are gatasus, are a combination, Panchabhuta Sanghata, they are called. The bodies are, meaning they are just a combination of these five elements, and they become active, or we see them functioning only when agatasu, which has the prana along with it, comes and sits in this, or is existing inside this Panchabhuta Sanghata, this body. Then only body is functioning. But when the soul, Atma, leaves the body, it not only goes by itself, but the prana is always attached with it, right? The life force is attached with the Atma. And when it leaves the body, then we say it's gone, right? So that's what our Acharya says. So when somebody is there functioning, we say call he or him or she or her, the pronouns that we use. But when the agatasu, the soul with its prana leaves the body, we call it it. We don't call him. And then when somebody says, no, no, why are not you calling he there? Then they say he is gone. Meaning we all know, even whether you are a astika or nastika, atheist, or so who don't believe in something which we don't see, still they say he is gone. Meaning they are acknowledging there, right there, that something which is inside has left that body, right? So and that what left, I mean, we are not like robots. I mean, it's a very basic common sense, I feel. Even though, so basically people say, okay, we believe what we see. right? So when we go to Nastikas, they're good people, they don't believe in what they don't see. They see only the body, okay? And then you can't see, no matter what powerful microscope or whatever the equipment you have around, when in a hospital, when somebody is sick and you put whatever the most powerful device, you can't capture the soul leaving the body. So I don't believe there is a soul. There is Atma. Right? But what has gone outside, right? This is completely shut down system. Okay, that's fine. So system, you can see all the measurements on the ECG or whatever BP machines, that numbers show. Suddenly it flatlines, meaning the body has shut down. But what is it? How is it different from the computer, right? Computer, we know there is no soul, right? But still, so it is functioning. It is answering all the questions we ask it. Or the robot, create a robot like just like a human being, it functions like that. But when the battery is dead, uh, it stops functioning. So how is that robo different from us, right? So we obviously, nobody says we are alike, right? Does it make sense what I'm trying to get to the example, like the parallel, right? We are not robots, meaning we have something inside the Atma, whether somebody sees it or not, and whether somebody acknowledges it or not, that Atma is there, that Atma is the one that is going away. Whereas the robo, which looks exactly like a human, it's functioning like a human, or it doesn't have an Atma in it. And then we know the battery is dead, then that's gone. So this Atma, which is having prana with it, is going away. And so yes, and Sri Krishna Paramatma is saying, yes, we go through the shokam, but it should not become anishokam. And that's what scholars don't feel. The anishokam, when the soul leaves the body, right? So the body is just a panchabhuta sanghata, meaning it's a combination of these dravyas, or the elements or the materials. These five materials together is what um, uh, what the human bodies are. And so what we will do is, actually I was hoping to go to 12th sloka, but I think if we skipped this or we would not be doing justice if we just ran through it, right? So, and the 12th sloka is the first sloka of this, and this, he handles this bitter reality, what he stated harshly in this sloka. He handles, or he gives the confidence in the 12th sloka. That's the first sloka of Bhagavad Gita. We'd say 11th sloka is the ground zero, where harsh reality is expressed, but 12th sloka is what gives us the confidence. So let's just chant the 12th sloka, and then we will, next week, we will understand in depth how is he giving us the confidence that we need to be able to function. Natvevaham jatunasam natvam neme janadhipaha nachaiva na bhavishyamaha sarve vayamatah param. So that's the 12th sloka. And the very first sloka, it's like a big bang. He's giving the universal truth, the profound reality, which should give all of us the confidence, and we function with the full confidence. How and why that is, we will learn in the next week's session. Jai Sri Narayana. Any commentary, any feedback before we wrap up for today? Okay. All right. So let's chant the ending sloka. and ending prayer. We'll wrap up for today. Om Agni Naya Supatharaye Asman Vishwani Deva Vayunani Vidvan Yuyodhyasmajjuhuranamenaha Bhuisthante Nama Uktim Vidhema Om Purnamidam Purnamadaha Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate Om Namah Paramarishibhyo Namah Paramarishibhyaha Om Namah Paramarishibhyo Namah Paramarishibhyaha Om Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha. Jai Srimanarayana.
Jai Sri Krishna.
Jai
Jai
Srimanarayana.
Sri Narayana.
Jai Srimanarayana.
Jai Sri